Hello and welcome to the Work Hates podcast. I'm Bron Lewis. This is Brady Blake. Everyone has a nightmare work story, whether it is a shit boss, a dreadful workplace, or an insufferable colleague. And if you had none of those things, chances are you're the problem.
You are the problem. Today we are joined by a comedian, ex-military, and I don't want to say TikToker because it's not kind of just, but you're really good online and I enjoy it. Jarryd Goundry.
Thank you very much.
Online sensation.
Jarryd Goundry. Woo!
Yes.
Did you say online sensation?
Sensation.
Oh, that's cringy.
Is it cringy?
Yeah, of course it is.
Or
Yeah.
would you prefer to be TikTok comedian?
Or actually, I'll take online sensation.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Because you do a lot of, you have a really good online presence. I like watching all your military clips and stuff like that. Like I learned about how a cheeseburger can last fucking a month in your fucking backpack and shit like that. And I was like, what the fuck?
And I started doing that by mistake. So after all the lockdowns, I was like, comedy, I'm doing okay at it, but I'm not getting really where I want to get. I said, I'm like 40 in a couple of years, so I'm not young. And I was like, I got to get onto the phones and I got to get on the TikToks and figure out what's going on. So I made about 40 odd videos.
Got to get on the phones and the TikToks.
Got to get on the, I didn't know how to.
You sound a million.
Yeah.
I had to.
You sure you weren't 40 20 years ago?
I sound
a Nokia 5210
I sound like my mum, Jennifer.
Yeah, on the Facebooks.
And I had to YouTube how to, I was computer illiterate and I just got on to YouTube, figured out how to edit and do all that sort of stuff. And I made 40 videos and no one watched it. And I was like, whatever. And then I made one day and I was like, well, I know all of this stuff about the military. I might as well just talk about that.
Yep.
Made a video, went to bed that night, didn't think anything of it. Woke up in the morning, 900,000 views.
Oh, wow.
Fuck, I love that.
But like I don't think like you can't be prepared to go viral. It feels, my first immediate thought was I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I had all of these messages from people I hadn't spoken to in many years. And I'm like, who's died? Right.
Or what have I said on another clip?
Right.
Or
and
whatever.
I was just going like, I just saw you on this thing. I just saw you blah, blah, blah. And I was like, holy shit. And then I went into
what it was about?
Yeah, it was about my friend who I served with who was a soldier who had Tourette's.
Okay.
And I was just talking about that, and then it just went ballistic. And then he messaged me like, I just saw you talking about myself, and I'd put a bit of mayo on it, and I wasn't entirely true.
Yeah.
And he's like, we weren't there doing that, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be a comedian. And then I decided, I was like, well, I'm onto something here, so I'll make another one.
Right.
And then 512 videos later.
Great.
512 videos.
Yeah, I decided consistency. I thought I'd do at least 4 a week.
Fuck
And
me.
I just
I
do
think
that.
I do
Do that.
512.
Yeah, 26 million views.
Amazing.
And it's been amazing. It's connected me back in with that community. I got a message from some Americans being like, hey, dude, like we are sitting in a tank in Iraq watching these videos. And I was like,
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, so.
That's really cool. So does that mean that 100% of your content now that you do online is military based?
No, I mean, they definitely want it, but I'm trying to get out.
Sure.
Not get out, diversify it a little bit.
Yeah, show them a different side of you.
Yeah, because
You don't want to talk about military forever, right?
I mean, I'm running out of things.
you got to sign up
When
again.
I was in World War III, they're like, World War III hasn't started yet. You're like, I'm praying for a war to start so I got some fucking content.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump, get him in, get him on, you know?
These guys from the Ukraine were like, we're in a trench right now in the Donbass, and we're like, just loving your vids. And I'm like, I hope I don't lose those followers.
Yeah,
They're just gonna
that's the other
fall off
thing. Followers. They could fucking die, you know?
But it's been amazing. I mean, obviously the veteran community has gone through a lot. That's how war kind of works. And, a lot of people reach out and they go, hey, I'm going through a tough time. And, this sort of stuff cheers me up. And I didn't think about that when I first started. And it's been a wholesome sort of byproduct of me trying to get some tickets sold.
Yeah.
And it's actually truly wonderful. And now the corporate angle's been incredible. So I'm the only young veteran comedian.
Yeah.
So
You took a photo. Who were you with?
Jackie Lambie, is that it?
Incredible.
She said, you're a funny fucker. That's what she said.
That's actually beautiful.
I know. I put that on my
poetry.
poster.
And then the other best part is you get to go, because I think you're even gigging at my local, the Coburg RSL.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I saw a poster for you up there coming up soon or something. I was like, he's moving into my territory. I was like, but then in RSL, they're like, I served, I'm allowed it, you know what I mean? And
That's
they
it.
love it. So it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Do you know what they have at the Coburg RSL? I'm wondering what your thoughts on this. They have
Me drunk, passed out on the floor.
very similar. Okay, it's a picture of it has like all of the these people these soldiers that they respect, and in it is Ben Roberts-Smith.
And Robbie still in there.
I was like, what is he doing in there? He's not allowed to be in there anymore.
They wouldn't.
Are we
know.
allowed to do?
They're slow on the cancelling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, is it like? Would he? I don't know.
I don't know the whole
Doesn't matter?
saga, but I would have been like an
He was a
RSL. Would have been
naughty
like he
little
kind of did. He got a Victoria Cross, but he did some fucked stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, heaps of fuck stuff, right?
Too much killing. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
he was like he did lots of war crimes.
It's like you opening up a show and they're like, Brad, you crushed too hard.
Too hard. Oh.
Tone it out a
Dude,
bit.
so he's funny while he's killing people.
Yes.
Fuck yeah, dude.
He loved
Yeah, I mean, but also sometimes people aren't going through every single fucking photo, you know?
Also, those things cost a lot of money. It takes a lot to change though. I'm assuming it's because they have them in nearly every RSL. So I'm assuming it's photo of all the Victoria Cross winners.
No, it's like a cabinet, like a China cabinet, but it's got
China. Ooh.
Ooh.
You're right. It's not.
Mate,
it's
that's
Australian cabinet.
Me and Nick's favourite thing about when we go to the RSL there, because they've got great beers, got all the it's it's all about Australia, pride, hats coming off, and they serve like dim sims and whatever. Like this is the beauty, just cultures coming together.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah,
Absolutely. And there's a big in the RSL. So veterans of my era don't really go to the RSL too much. That's sort of the older boys and Vietnam guys and all that sort of stuff. And we just kind of don't really do that. There's like a big divide in between that sort of things, because a while ago they filled them full of pokey machines and kind of lost its way a little bit. And a lot of the younger veterans are like, stuff that we'll just do our own thing. And that's been a good thing about what I've been doing, is now people have been coming to this and being like, well, I don't want to go to the RSL. Like, let's go to a fucking comedy show.
That's probably my favourite thing about I mean, you don't have to pick a side on this either way, because obviously you have a lot to do with them. But the RSLs,
Gay
the
marriage.
Coburg. Sorry?
Gay marriage.
Gay marriage.
Go.
Ben Roberts-Smith is gay. Go.
Will you marry
No. Would you if I... No. The Coburg RSL I love, because you become a member. It's got beers. It supports the community. There's a lot of old boys there. There's cheap beers, live entertainment. It feels like a community. And I fucking love it so much. But some of these big RSLs are just gambling dungeons, and there's no sense of community and I like because the RSL I'm at, this guy's I can talk to him, I can be respectful, I feel like that's part of what an RSL is meant to be.
That's probably the biggest sort of divisive and opinionated subject in the whole entire veteran community, is what's going on with the RSL. I mean, they signed themselves off to the devil years ago, and now they're kind of stuck in it. I'm not sure what those contracts look like. They make a lot of money. So now all the younger guys are going and doing different things and going and sorting out places that don't have booze, don't have gambling, and all these sort of terrible things for your mental health.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well.
And doing other
booze
stuff
doesn't help.
And all of these things have popped up, being like fishing adventures and all this sort of stuff. And the mental health aspect is coming to the forefront, because all those Vietnam guys, they came back from the war and they got spat on and mistreated and all that sort of stuff, and they got shunned, and we're just trying to bring it all back together and being like, war obviously sucks, but if you go there and if the government's willing to send you off, they should look after you on the way back.
Of course.
And that hasn't happened, so we look out for each other and we look out for our mates, so we just do it ourselves.
I love that, because also, because some of those bigger ones, those big RSL clubs, you're like, there's no sense of community, there's no communication between younger and older generation. There's pogie machine and there's alcohol. It's like there's 8 things that make me depressed, and I haven't even gone to war there. It's like, so I'm glad that there's other activities going on around that.
Yeah,
that makes me happy. Yeah.
How long were you in the military for?
7 years. So I joined from 18 to 25, which is young. And I joined kind of by mistake. I wasn't like, Australia. Like I was just in Perth, you know what it's like. And all of my friends were becoming plumbers and electricians and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at all. I went to meet my mum for lunch in the city of Perth. She sent me a text message. She said, I'm going to be an hour late. I was in Murray Street. The recruitment centre was right there. I was like, well, I'll fucking
what else would I do?
kill some time. So
I'll kill some time and kill some people.
I walked in, picked up one pamphlet, man. This dude, like, big medals, just hits me up and he's like, you gonna join the army? And I'm like, nah, bro. And he's like, do you want to watch a movie about it? I'm like, how long does this go for? He's like, about 40 minutes. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Have that exact
and
time.
Fuck yes.
Watched it, and they
just puts on Tropic Thunder and you're like, this is hilarious, I'm going to war.
It's like edited perfectly. There's music, there's people just jumping out of helicopters and mopping the floor with a smile. And then I was like, juiced up, and then an 18, and before I was about to leave, he just like looked around to see if anyone was looking, and he just like shuts his little office, right, and he's like,
that's terrifying.
you're a good looking bloke. He goes, do you know how much pussy you would get
Okay.
if you were in the army? And I was like, fucking how long? What's the catch, brother? I was like,
You got 7 pens. I've gone through.
he's
3
like, you
already.
sign up for 4 years. I was like, can I sign up for 10? Like,
Oh
this is
my-
amazing. And
And still a virgin. Fuck.
and then
sucks.
eight weeks later, I was in a shower with 87 dicks. And I was just like, fucking dude, man. And
You can get fucked heaps, and you'll love it if you are into dudes. But yeah, you will not see any actual pussy. You'll see back pussy.
I just looked at it. I was like, I don't know what I want to do in my life. If I sign that bit of paper, I just get a whole new adventure. And I'm
Yep.
like, well, I don't like this one, so let's just try something else. And just got
And you
straight
have
in.
to sign up for 7 years.
4 years.
4
I
years.
stayed for 7 because I'm foolish. And
Okay. So 4 years. So it's like, you know, being the
that's your
president.
contract. So depending on what you do, some jobs require more. Sometimes you can go get a degree, so they will pay for your university degree, and you got to give them back that time plus a year. So if you do a 4-year degree, you end up doing 9, 4, 4, 1. I was just an infantry guy, so frontline soldier. And
I was just on the front
I was on the
line.
gun job. I was the shooting and the explosion job. So that's
fun stuff.
the fun.
I mean, yeah. In theory, if you live, yeah, it's fun.
It's fucking heaps of fun.
It's heaps of fun.
You ever-
I wanted to hear that.
Have a quick survey. Who here shot a rocket launcher?
Yeah.
It's so good. Like,
yeah.
At
quick-
what? What'd you shoot it at?
no, not much. Just like a
Doesn't
target.
matter. Just fucking
has
do
anyone here?
whatever.
Has anyone here cut down a tree with a machine gun?
No.
Fucking, it's the best. Like, there is nothing boring about that. It
Where's
is
this
just,
piece of paper? And you get heaps of pussy.
it is just the ball. It's like a footy trip
Okay.
A long footy
For
trip.
7 years.
with machines and machine guns
Yeah.
and grenades. It's pretty fun. Amazing. You're just always doing somewhere new. You're traveling around the world. They're like, we're doing an exercise in the ocean with the Navy. Like, fuck yeah. You're like, choppers are doing this.
Did you ever have to jump out of a helicopter into the water?
You do this very fun thing called Hewitt, which is helicopter underwater escape training.
Oh my God, that sounds
Man, that
so
sounds so much
bad.
fun.
And it is like the chassis of a helicopter.
Oh, yes.
And it's above a swimming pool, like a 50-meter swimming pool, and it's got like hydraulics on it. And then you go, boom, and it puts you into the water and it spins you over. And then you need to like escape through holes
No.
whilst like everyone's in there.
Yeah.
And some people freak the fuck out.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
sucks?
Pussies.
And they're like, all right, guys, if you're scared of water and confined
Yes,
spaces,
I
just
am.
put your hand up here. We'll give you a little red helmet. And everyone's like, no, I'm not fucking scared. And then after one dunking, like half of the people got a red helmet on.
Oh my God.
I don't like any of this, guys.
And it's,
I'm so confused. I just need to just go over this one more time. Okay, so you're in a helicopter.
Yes.
And the helicopter drops into
It's
the
attached
pool.
to imagine it's attached to a crane.
Yeah.
The helicopter is.
Yes. And
Okay.
and it's like a big arm and it goes blurp and it puts
the
you into
helicopter
a
drops
underwater and then spins you over.
Okay.
And then sometimes you wear goggles that black everything out. So you have to do it by memory and you need to remember where the
And you
like
can't-
exit is.
And you can't breathe, obviously, because you're underwater.
And sometimes you got to wait for the person next to you. So like they go out the window and they are meant to tap you on the way out. So you're like, do.
just holding your breath.
Yeah. And then they get out because they're shit scared and they don't tap you and you're like, and then you're like, oh no, I'm going to drown. But they have safety divers in there that can like get you out whenever you need
Did
to.
anyone die?
And that's a great day at work.
That's fun. Man, I would
torture.
do that right now if I could have the opportunity.
You pay good money in
I'd
Dubai
love
for that. Like that's
I've
an
seen them do
adventure
that
park.
before. They do it for the all rig guys as well, so they get used to it. Yeah. It looks sick.
And it's
It
heaps,
doesn't.
it's heaps of fun. And shooting stuff's great and kicking down
Okay.
doors is awesome and blowing doors off their hinges is fun and like
so much fun.
Well, this is great that you loved it, but you did leave.
Yes.
So if you loved it, I would assume you would stay.
What do they always say?
But
If you love
didn't.
something so much, you got to leave.
you got to leave. And it's a young man's game. Like I was 25. Yeah, my knees were stuffed. My back was sore.
Too
Like
many dunks by
I have-
helicopters
40% hearing in one ear. Like
from the rocket launchers.
yeah, that stuff blows up next to your head. Like it's just, you
Okay,
got to
so
be
your knees
really
are
into
gone,
it, you know.
Knees are gone, your hearing's gone. Any
Yeah.
other injuries that you sustained?
Not that I know of yet.
You get shot.
Didn't get shot.
Didn't get
no.
shot. So
You
you're
get
good at your
close?
job.
I've been gassed with tear gas. Here's a good story for you.
Yes, please.
So to get qualified in tear gas, you
Sorry.
you need to
I love
get.
that. Mum's got it on your qualification on the fridge.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
Cert 3 in tear
Finally.
gas.
There you
He's
go.
showing his emotion. He
Advanced
was a tear
diploma. Come on, give me a break. So before you can use gas on people, which we've done, and which is heaps of fun too. But you need to get gassed, okay?
Oh, you
which I
deserve
think
it.
is
That's nice.
I think
That's
is a fair. It's
That's
fair.
fair.
So they put you in you get all of your gas equipment on, gas mask and all that sort of stuff, and you go into a little room and they fill it full of gas, and then there's people in there with gas masks, and they go, okay, pull your gas mask off, and then tell us your kind of like your serial number, and you get about 4 numbers in, you throw up, you fall on the ground, and they throw you out, and it's a pretty good Tuesday, right?
No.
And they go, right, that's the you're getting gassed part of the equation. Now
it makes you vomit.
It's tear gas. Yeah, it's very well named. It's horrible stuff.
Vomit gas.
Now, back at my little room on my base, I had a girl staying with me because we were in like a little situationship. No, that was illegal, but I was sick. And
is this Duntroon? Where are we at?
This is at Townsville on Laverack Barracks. Okay.
So she's from Townsville, so she's probably rougher than half the blokes on the fucking campus. Yeah.
And so I've gone home that day, and she's like, "How's work?" And I'm like, "Got gassed." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "We got to do it before we can do it." She's like, "That's pretty fair." We start having a shower together, right? And then we start making love in the shower because I'm 21,
nice.
And the gas crystals that they are in the air when you get gas, they kind of stay in your hair. And then halfway through making love, like the steam from the shower, like reactivated it.
And you gassed her.
The whole bathroom into tear gas.
Did she vomit?
Mid-sex. And
this is a long way around that you had sex with some chick and she vomited because she hated it. And you're like, no, it was a tear gas.
It was.
Trust me, guys.
It was tear gas. So, we didn't.
Fuck, that rule.
Yeah, I know. We didn't.
Did she stick around?
Like,
no.
You can't see, like, they come back. I'm so fucking close.
Yeah. And I went to work on the whenever the next day, and I was like, this happened, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, we were supposed to tell you about the shower situation. I was like, oh man,
this would have been useful about 3 fucking hours ago.
Absolutely.
How'd she get in there? If you're not allowed, like, how'd she get in there?
So
come on, mate. He works in the fucking military as if he doesn't have a rope and a ladder and a sense of adventure.
Okay, sorry. Was it with a rope and a ladder?
You think it's that sophisticated?
No one thinks.
You put him in the boot of your car, right?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You do not.
Because you got to sign them on.
She vomited. She's crying, and she's in the boot of your car.
I would just like to add right now, this is all consensual. Right?
Okay. This is episode 3 of Making a Murderer. Thank you.
And because if you go through, you can have them on, but you when I said them, you can have friends and visitors on, but they need to sign on, and then they need to be signed off and accounted for because it's like a military base with fucking expensive equipment.
So she could have sat in the front seat.
She could have, but she was staying there. I can't remember why, but
it's more fun and exciting that
way. She has to leave by the end of the day.
Yes,
because visitors can't sleep home.
Correct.
Okay, okay, all right, I get it now.
We just went past the sign-in part with the boot trick, and then
fucking insane. I don't think I've ever been that into it or that into anyone that I'd be like, I'll get in the boot. That's fine.
I'd get in the boot for a chick. Yeah, but I'm an old school romantic like that, though.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'd get in the boot for a chick.
No, I've got this thing called like
new merch lines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've never dated a woman with that.
In your 20s though, come on, like this.
No, I wouldn't. I still wouldn't have gotten the boot. But good on her, Townsville.
Also Townsville. It's not the first time she's been in a boot.
But I grew up in Canberra and Duntroon. I know a lot of girls that have gone to Mooseheads. You would have been to Mooseheads.
Oh yeah, Mooseheads, good time.
Mooseheads a nightclub, and then all of the Duntroon boys come in, real skinny with shaved heads, and I think they've just like fallen out of Kapuka. They've gone in there, and then they just all pick up. I don't know what it is. The women are like, "You look damaged."
There's such thing as like military groupies in a way.
Really?
Yeah, because if you ever do sign them in, you'll be like, my room's over there, and then she'd be like, yeah, it's the second one on the right. Like, I've been down this street. And you're like, okay. Like,
I know how to get out of here.
And that's fine.
You want me in the boot again? Yeah. And have you cleaned the crystal out of your fucking hair? Because last time I was here, I was crying and I vomited. And that wasn't from gagging on your dick either, brother. So... But there is, because we had the Navy base in Perth.
Down near Rockingham.
In Rockingham, right? And this is my favourite story ever that was on the news. And I think I told it to another comic and someone said, you've got to stop talking to people. But now I'll do it on video on a podcast. So Perth, the sailors used to come to town and they'd all be dressed up in their fucking whatevers, you know, their nice going out outfit. Every chick in town is like, I'm going out because all these sailor guys are going to give us free shots of Jaeger. And then all these sailor guys, you had no chance because there's 80 of them. So if you got into a fight, you're fucked, number one.
Yeah.
Also, they're sailors. They're fucking wimps. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Probably not. They would all bash me. But
Seamen.
So there was The shots, whatever. But then 1 week on the news, that we got a brothel called Langtrees, and on the news they go, we've had to shut the brothel
Langtrees.
down for 3 days so the girls can have a break. And that was on the news, and I remember being 8, like, Mum, why are they shutting the brothel down? And she's like, oh, and Dad's like, whoa.
There's an old saying that
goodness.
that the 2 oldest jobs in the world is being a soldier or going to war and being a prostitute.
Yeah.
And that's why
Wouldn't
they go hand in
exist
hand.
without
No.
But I love that the girls had to
Never
have
myself.
3 days off after the sailors were in town. I was like, fuck, that rules.
But they didn't need it because if you just go to Mooseheads in Canberra, all the girls are ready to. They're like, this is the hottest thing in the world is you being a soldier or maybe sailors. Maybe
Yeah.
it's less hot. I don't know. Is that true?
No, I think the outfit.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, there's a hierarchy. It goes Army, Navy, Air Force, right? So
Is that?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
'cause-
Top Gun. I thought they were number 1. I thought.
well, there's like 5 dudes in the Air Force that fly the thing, and the rest of them are just
What do they
like,
do?
well, the fighter jets take tens and dozens of people just to maintenance them and all that
So
sort
they're
of
just
stuff.
like mechanics.
They're all mechanics, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
yeah.
like there's so much paperwork, and then there's like
Okay.
air traffic controllers. There's air hostesses in the Air Force, like
Yeah,
No.
right.
yeah.
So there's only a couple.
We
of
call them
Mavericks.
chair force, and we think we go every single time.
Oh man, I love that bullying. Yeah, chair force.
Yeah, we bully each other a lot.
So
it's
when
quite
you
fun.
but when you signed up, there was no way you were going to do in either like military or the other ones.
Well, I looked at it and I was like, I want to fire the big guns. Like,
Okay,
I
you
was
want
like,
the
I want to join
guns.
the army, and I was like, stupidly because I have no qualifications now. But other people that went in and were like, fix the jets are now like avionics technicians for Qantas and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, now I go to a job interview and they're like, what can you do? And I'm like, I know where North is. You know what I mean? Like,
Very cool.
like we just
Very
like walk
cool.
around, camouflage, but it's like
You can't see me. I don't know where North is.
5% of the time is blowing stuff up and having a good time, and the others
I
you're
can
just
get
hanging
7
around.
I can get
and-
7 ladies into a boot.
Yep.
Is that useful here?
Go to clown school.
Yeah, you got to clown school with that.
And the rest of the time is just weird briefs, like you're
Mm.
just getting training on this and learning this language or doing this all the other stuff
Mm-hmm.
and navigating and paperwork, and it's just PowerPoint presentation after PowerPoint
Oh
presentation.
God, I'd die, Brady. You'd be dead.
The best PowerPoint presentation I've seen to date, right,
Yes.
is everything is so structured that they have to make them and it goes down to the rest of the military, right? So there's a whole bunch of people in Canberra that just make PowerPoint presentations
Wow.
and then give it to like the
From the Air
fucking
Force?
maniac killers, right?
Great.
And they
And they're paying heaps
Yeah.
of attention.
So then you get this. So you're in an auditorium full of people, right? And then these nerds from Canberra come out and they go, all right, in today's lesson, we will teach you what to expect if you're captured by the Taliban.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, baby, this is going to be great. Because in my mind, I'm still like a comedian, right? Like I
Right.
just haven't emerged yet. And everyone else is like, oh, okay, this is interesting information. I'm like, this is the fucking you
It is
listening to
actually-
this.
It does seem like important information.
And they're going through the normal stuff, cut your head off, blah, 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 do all this sort
Oh.
of stuff. And then
What
they
do you
get
think
to
about
one
that?
slide and they're like, and just know that in the event that you are captured by the Taliban, it is highly likely that they will rape you.
Oh.
And everyone's like, okay. And just
Holy
remember
hell.
that the male G-spot is located in the anus.
So
This is not happening,
And
Jarryd.
if you orgasm, it's not gay. And
hey, on your deathbed as you're getting raped by the Taliban, it's okay to come, boys. It's okay to come.
And I'm looking around at like 800 people and they're like, And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me,
This
right?
is
One guy's asleep.
wild.
And then they take out the next slide is just a picture of the male anus, right? With like a little red dot
No,
on
it
it. Being,
doesn't.
be like, there's the G-spot. And I'm like, boys, I am way ahead of you. Like, I'm pretty sure my first girlfriend was in the Taliban.
Oh my God.
And then they proceed to go on and it's like, and you know, it's not for a sexual thing, it's for power. And I'm like, man, I'm glad you told me that. I'm in a cave, just like, don't worry, boys, it's just for power. Like,
I'm not judging you or your sexuality. I
guys are like,
understand.
I'm glad you told me that. I just came.
You're in a cave being pinned down by the Taliban. You're like, this is fine. And they're doing it for a power play. And I'm allowed to come, guys.
which makes me think, like, does the Taliban have the same brief in reverse?
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, so like, all right, guys, today we're going to talk. If you capture an infidel, and they're like, you can have sex with him, but remember the male G-spot.
Yes.
It's not gay.
He will love it.
It's
He
for
will
power.
Absolutely love
It's only
it when
gay if you
do.
don't make him come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's oh my
And
God.
that's like a.
That's insane. I've seen
That is
heaps
such
of
an
PowerPoints.
insane
Never
so-
that one. Never have I seen an anus in a PowerPoint
yeah,
presentation.
a
Have
little
you, Brady?
G-spot in there.
Yeah.
In a PowerPoint
visually
presentation.
that one just then when I thought about it.
yeah,
Because I was like, where was the old mate that signed you up recruiting? He didn't show you that fucking slide,
Fucking
did
put
he?
that one in the brochure, do they?
So what do you
Fuck, that
reckon
is so
and you must
wild.
get asked this a lot. You must get asked this a lot. What is the worst thing you saw? Like, it's something that you're willing to share. What's the worst thing you saw during your time serving?
So I deployed to East Timor when I was in the military. So
Yep.
2007, they quickest history of East Timor in the world. Used to be a Portuguese colony. 1975, it got independence. Indonesia invaded it the next day. In 1999, they got independence, and then Indonesia left like militias there just to like fucking kill everyone, burn the place down. It was
Really?
absolutely
Why?
terrible.
Like, if we can't have it,
Just-
no one can.
I don't know if you've ever met humans, but geez, they're fucking stinky. But they
Yeah,
fucking
they
sucked
suck.
a lot of them. Doesn't matter where you. There's shit guns all over the place, and that country was in super turmoil. United Nations sent Australians in there to sort of like put the place down. That was super successful. And then in 2006, there was like a contested election, and then the whole place went to shit. And then we got sent over there a second time, and that was part of like that group.
Okay. And in this point, are you looking forward to your second trip, or you hated the first trip?
I cannot state this more strongly that when you're in the military, if you
Yeah.
get any sniff of going anywhere for a bit of action, you are fucking pumped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you've been on the bench for so long.
Trained. Trained.
Yeah, it's like imagine playing football training for 2 years and they're like, you want to play on the weekend? You're like, yeah, boy, I want to
Yeah,
get like a
yeah,
black
yeah,
eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're just like, we're just watching the news and we're like, North Korea's kicking off at any moment. We're going to be there. And never happens. Like, we're just so excited. Everyone's just really, really
Let's
excited.
go North Korea. Yeah, that's
And-
Guys, the energy's electric. I've heard great things about the food
Yeah.
over there. Yeah, you're going to be eating
And,
fucking satchels.
We went over there. It's super beautiful country. I mean, East Timor was beautiful. I mean, it's pretty much in Indonesia. It's like Bali, right? And I think how old was I then? Maybe 19 or 20 when I went over there. And just to see like a whole society just rebuilding itself was beautiful. A lot of poverty.
yes.
There was like these camps of white UN tents where they burnt half the city down, so that no one had any homes. They were just living in there. And to watch that unfold was really cherished that
Mm-hmm.
the ability to see that. Like, nobody, you live in this, look at this fucking place. Like, look
Yeah.
at it, this country's wicked.
Yeah.
You can just say what you
pretty
want.
lucky, yeah.
Look at Lydia Thorpe on the weekend. She's like, fuck you. And then everyone's like, no, fuck you. I love that.
Yeah,
I love a culture where we can just swear at each other and just say what we want. A lot of these places can't do that, and then they
Yeah.
eventually fall apart.
And did you, I have to ask, when you were a child, did you travel a lot? Like, were you quite worldly?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
no.
this
So this
would
is
have been
exciting as
really
well.
Yeah. We went to Mandra.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Aha.
yeah.
Beautiful,
And,
great crabbing there.
I remember this one village, and this is the most eye-opening thing about a cultural shock, is that ladies would wash all of their clothes in the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids would just play in the river, and there's crocodiles fucking everywhere, right?
Oh,
So
Christ.
essentially one day, kids playing, crocodile takes this
kid.
kid, right?
No.
So there's going to be like this really, really large funeral that's going to happen, and it's going to have multiple different villages and tribes and all that sort of stuff, and it's kind of a bit of a security sort of like hot spot. Like we get in to do the security for it because there's a lot of blood feuds and all that sort of stuff. And we get there and it's just this huge celebration, and people are like kissing the hands of the family that the kid got taken, and we're like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh yeah, the crocodile's sacred, and it chose the boy.
Oh, that's a nice way to look at
And everyone was just, and I'd never seen like a different side of death.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's even
a
to
nice
me
way to
right
look
when you
at it.
said that, I'm like, what?
And it was wicked. It was so cool to see that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's just
And
a
it-
completely
Shows-
different flip on what you expect of reality as well. You know what I mean?
And you see,
that would have blown me away.
and in like a lot of these communities as well, just the way that they deal and handle their dead. So you have the emergency services aren't super active. If somebody dies, it happens in the home. And they get buried in the backyard. And, you know, we saw a lot of that, and we see people grieving and just kind of dealing with it themselves. I think in a Western society, we don't do that. It's all handled by professionals.
Yeah, we outsource it for 20 fucking grand, and here's 18 pages of how you have to deal with this, and you know?
A really challenging thing is we were patrolling through a whole bunch of villages, and these people were separated from the whole political apparatus. These hadn't really seen white people before, and we were going through there with all of when you see like a decked out soldier and you'd never seen a white person before in helicopters, you're like, that is fucking like
terrifying.
God.
What the fuck
you
is
know what I mean?
that?
Like you're like, what
Yeah.
the hell,
Yeah.
right? And so we're in this village and we're an interpreter and we're talking to people, and then behind one of these buildings we're like, what's that dude doing? And it's like,
Is it Brett?
no, there's like someone who is.
I'm like, so the G spot is just up here, boys.
Don't worry, it's for power.
It's for power. Yeah, I'm powerful.
And there's essentially a middle-aged man who has been mentally disability his entire life,
Yeah,
right?
it's Brett.
And
Once again, this sounds a lot. Yeah.
he's like chained up and tied to a tree,
No.
and I'm like,
What's that?
fuck's going on in this village, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, he's got devils in his brain. He's full of demons, right?
Oh.
And I'm like, no. Like, whoa. We ain't doing the demon in the brain story. And then talking to the interpreter, and the interpreter's like, I'm like, we're letting this guy go. And
Well, you can't get involved.
and
are
that's
you
what ended up
doing?
happening. And then the interpreter's like, we can't. And I'm
Yes.
like, that was fucking heartbreaking. And like, we just had to like get back in the stuff and just leave that village forever. And
And
it's
he's
like,
probably still there.
right?
That's the thing is, but you got to go like, well, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do in one circumstance, and then you're not respecting the way they do
Yeah.
things. But it's also so heartbreaking to see that shit.
And all the soldiers there, we had a big argument. Like, half of us were like, we got to let this go. Like, no. And then the other was like, what are we going to do if we release it anyway? And it's
And
like,
then you release him, and then he's fucking just molests half the village, and you're like, "Oh, that was my bad. That was my bad. I did not see that coming." Oh, you meant the devil and the pee-pee. Okay. Oh, what, did I take it down a path again?
fuck yeah.
you don't know. You don't know why they chained him up.
I'm
It could be
glad
all
this
his
is,
fault.
this is a good podcast. And then he molests everyone.
Yeah.
So one day he breaks Cage.
Yeah, exactly. It could be fucking
His
poor
brother
ass bloke.
Billo, yeah.
The worst thing you saw was a man tied up.
That the
'Cause that's
the
pretty
dilemma
bad.
in your heart.
Yes, that's
Yes.
really hard.
That
That would
pulls
have been
at
really
you.
hard.
It's hard.
The way I said it made it seem like, is that it? Right? That would have been horrific.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
No. It's
Because doing the
it's a
right
very-
thing
yeah.
isn't black and white.
No. Well,
And also you're there to do a specific thing, not there to change or fix everything, and you can only do what you can within the parameters of your workplace.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
were like, have you seen these rebels? And they're like, no, but we've got a fucking crazy dude out the back.
Yeah,
and we're
this
like,
guy-
this isn't the mission.
Yeah, the devil in his brain.
Now we got to talk about this. We can't mention the film that I saw you on recently because I always get in trouble for talking shit about films I work on. So I'm working on a film at the moment, an American one.
Are we allowed to talk about it?
Oh, Jarrod's on it.
No,
You're
but
on it.
we're just saying an American film. I'm not going to give any information about it, what it
Netflix.
is called, or what you're doing,
Really?
or whatever.
Congratulations.
I don't even know what it is. But I like to. I'm always when I get bored on a film set, I love winding up people or extras. And there was a big group of extras. And then I was like, fuck it. I was on the lighting channel. I was like, watch this, boys. Freddie's coming in for a good one. And like all the lighting boys are watching. I was like, oh yeah, but it's the first time all you soft cocks have hold a gun. And as I was about to say, all you soft cocks have hold a gun.
Yeah.
Jarryd turns around. I was like, yeah, I'm good. Thanks, mate. I was like, because I knew your surface is 70. I was like, fuck. I was coming over to wind everyone up.
That was the funniest day because they did a call out to the veteran community and they're like, we need buku amounts of soldiers. So I think we did three different scenes, maybe like 10 days. And
They needed actual ex-military.
there was like
It's a
90
better
of us
vibe.
the other day
Yeah.
at the Air Force Base. And they're like running around and
Right.
shit's blowing up and some guys are having ticks. And I'm like, you didn't think this through.
Yeah.
And
Do you guys
Oh,
like PTSD?
Jesus.
Yeah, because I've got it in spades.
and it's funny because we're not actors, right? So we're just hanging around and there's the odd extra in there that's an aspiring actor. And we're just like, we just went straight back into army mode and we're like, oh my God, fucking just start doing footy
you gotta
trip
bully 'em.
acting.
Footy trip
You
mentality.
gotta bully
And
them.
these guys are like, oh, you guys like served your country and like this is the level.
Yeah.
Yes,
like-
this is
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because everyone thinks like the army's like good. And I'm like, no, it's just a bunch of people like
This is a bunch
trained.
of boys. I
Bunch of
cannot
lads.
even imagine the toxic masculinity that you had to wade through.
I was in the
every
army the
single
day they announced women were coming to our thing. So my job was one of
You
the.
sound a million years old again. What do you mean?
So
Hell yeah, get them in the trenches.
There's lots of ladies in the military. Awesome.
Heaps,
A lot of them are fucking tough too.
Yeah, I
Tats,
assume most of
short
them.
hair,
Yeah, sure.
arm wrestle you at the pub. They have a pub on base, and then they're like Bundy rum, fucking get here,
Yeah,
and then they beat you, and they're like, get out of here. It's so fucking. I love it.
Now, what I'm about to do to you is a power move. Yeah.
And-
Give me my peg, Susan.
And my job was one of the last ones, which was male only. And I was there the day they put us in the odd random thing coming out. They're like, you got to all report to there's going to be a speech, and we're like, North Korea.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
Yes.
And then we got there and they're like, women are coming. We're like, it's worse. and some dweeb from
rather nuclear disaster. No.
some dweeb from the government comes down, right? And they're like, all right, men, you might have heard some whispers in the media that we're going to be having women joining the infantry. And one guy just goes, no, and just walks out.
What?
And they're like, all right, we understand you'll have some time to relax.
Okay, so was that because I was wondering what would the initial reaction, because it's really like it's like pack mentality, I assume, when you're all wearing the same, you're all doing the same, you've all had similar experiences. It's pack mentality. So I assume there'd be a lot of similar reactions. What is the majority?
We were like, surely not.
Okay.
In this job? No. They don't want to come here.
It's the front line they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was all
So
us.
it's not like
Yeah.
just in the military. It's like
was that
in the
recent?
Yeah, I think so. I remember
What
hearing it on the
year is
news.
I believe it was 2011 when it got announced. 2010, 2011, and then it took like years to roll out. So they essentially put females through the leadership roles first. And then so it took like a bit of a bounce in.
You guys must have loved that.
So we were all sitting there and then we're like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And then they're like,
Was anyone excited?
well, they were like, first of all, you got to clean out all of your equipment because you can't have the pin-ups on the walls and all that sort of stuff. And we're like, bah, you know? And then they're like, and like, there's been all funny things that have been stolen over the years. They're like, what's that? They're like, there's some dildo from a sex show that the boys went on a trip to.
Pretties.
They're like, throw it all out. And we're like,
Peg.
yeah, right? And then they brought two ladies out from the Canadian Army that
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
they have had females in their infantry for a long time, and they gave us another PowerPoint presentation about how the female anatomy works. And it was just slide after slide of like, this is a 28-day cycle. This is all. I'm not lying.
Why do you need to know that?
Because we just had to get like the military's brain. They're like, let's qualify as these men on women. Right?
Boys, this is a pussy, all right? They got titties.
You can't touch it.
You can't touch it. You can't prove your...
We know you want to, but you can't, right?
You can put it in a boot butt.
Wasn't one of the whole big arguments about that, and I could be fucking wrong, is they didn't want women, just in case we do go to a front line, which is a weird fucking argument. It's like, because a lot of weird shit can happen in the trenches if someone from the fucking... Here we go. Here's
What's
Brent's
happening?
what I'm trying to say is, like, if someone captures a lady and they rape her or
Tie him
whatever,
up.
that's what they were worried about. And then, like, if they...
We're getting equal opportunity, man. Come on,
opportunity.
Come on.
Wasn't that the original, like, pushback? We can't have women in the trenches. What are the men are going to get distracted? Wasn't it all those old school thoughts?
I mean, there's plenty of that sort of like counter argument.
Yes.
I don't think that's real.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. I think the main
2011
the main pushback was, here are your standards, and that they're going to have these lower standards, and it's like that was the main objection. Was
Well,
like
they thought that women won't be able to do.
they didn't have to have the same fitness things. They didn't have to like shoot the same amount. Like all of the things you had to check off because they wanted more in. They were like, we need to change. So this is happening, and everyone was like, "Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like, if I get shot, you need to carry me 2Ks. Like, I don't care like who you are. Like, I need to get the fuck home. You know?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And was it like vastly different what women had to do and men had to do?
Yeah, totally. And that was the only thing, which I thought was a shame because and then I saw a lot of females that, like, I saw a lot of shit dudes, man. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I saw heaps of chicks that were just weapons and that sort of thing. So, but the two ladies, they did this lovely brief about how the period works, which I tell you what, learned a lot that day. And
I bet.
they did probably 20 minutes just on the period alone. And then they're like, any questions? And one guy's like, yep. How's your period work? It was just like, what? But they gave us the rest of the day off, which was the best. 1 o'clock, they were like, get out of here.
Boys, you need to
take some
process
time to
the
think
idea.
about it.
You've heard about periods. Yeah.
And we all went home to our wives and girlfriends and they're like, why so glum? And they're like, the women are coming to the... And they're like, no, with you? Oh, like, come here. Come here.
Oh, you poor little
I made you a
thing.
soup.
So the man has stood up and walked out. How did he come around? Did he leave forever?
I've got no idea.
What do you think he was upset about? If you were to take a guess.
Change, man.
No.
Yeah, it's an old school institution. You know, it's a very important institution for a country, but it's got to change like everything else. There's an old saying that the military should reflect the society of the day because that's who we serve. And change always says.
Let's be honest, and the government don't really give a fuck who dies or what gender you are, as long as you're fucking doing the job.
That's it.
So when women came in,
yep.
You were there that day when there were women.
I'd already discharged, but that was unrelated. But yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what type of discharge?
My bad.
Oh, sorry, I come, girls. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Come on.
If you were just to take a guess, then what do you think the vibe would have been on the day that the women came in?
Because I'm heavily connected to the military now.
Yes.
Because of all of the comedy stuff, I have them all at my shows and everything. So I just ask them, you know,
what's it like?
And they're like, what's it like? And they're like, yeah, it's great. It worked out all right. Yeah, there was some teething issues and X, Y, and Z.
Do you remember them though? I remember it was years ago now, but there was all of these allegations. I think was it in Canberra?
It was at the Duntroon.
It was at Duntroon.
It was like sex parties and all that sort of stuff.
These women were just like having the worst time. I'm sure some were having a nice time, but it was just like you can't. It's that just to be the first wave of women going in.
Now that high level there in Canberra has kind of like a private school vibe.
Yeah.
You know how like all that stuff's happening in private schools at the moment? There's still a bit of that like old school thing. So
and even because to go in and be like, okay, fine, we understand this is happening, but there'd be people in like leadership roles, whatever you call them, captains, and then they would.
I wasn't going to take it.
You're doing well. No, you're doing well.
What if they didn't like it? As if they're going to like help them out.
That's why, and that's why sometimes it's like the government just rams it down their throats, and you're like, you got to do this, and it's like, and as I said, we serve the government of the day. Everyone's pretty much apolitical. Like we don't care about all that shit. Like, and it's just it is what it is. And when you get told to do something, you do it to the best of your ability. After all the groaning, everyone does it to 150%.
Yeah.
Like that's
there's teething with anything.
That's what we do.
You know what I mean? So. Well,
and then what's the percentage? What do you reckon the percentage is, men to women in
the Navy? It's quite high. I would say 20%. I mean, it still attracts a male thing.
I don't want to join it.
That's it. It's just a shit job for like a lot of people. Like, let alone if you don't want to be dirty and sleep in a puddle and all that sort of stuff.
You don't want to get a crane put you in a fucking. I'm still stuck on this. You're in a helicopter and the crane dunks you in the water and you can't even see, and you have to get out. You have to wait for someone to tap you. Someone with a red helmet who's totally freaking out.
Yeah.
No thanks.
But we got the same thing in the film industry. It's like certain sections of the film industry, like lighting and gripping, it's mainly male dominated, and they're trying to get more girls in, which I think is great, and that actually changes the way people speak on fucking radios. All that shit's gone, it's the best. Which is awesome. But then a lot of producers are like, we want 50-50. I'm like, I agree, but I can't find that many because it is not a really. I was like, it's not a super appealing job. It's a appealing job for a fucking dirty dude, you know, like a grub. Not even I want to do half the shit I have to fucking do. You know, it's not it's heavy lifting, it's shit. So it's like, it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like what they want and what they get is not always there. But I do love the fact that we're pushing for more women in, particularly in my world, because it's really made my job more enjoyable, because these old fucking bitter cunts that used to say homophobic or sexist shit don't say, because I don't like that shit. That's not me. And I like the fact that it's changing a lot. You know what I mean? I think it's good for the culture.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. But I do see
it would take time. It would take time to change. And there'd be a lot of people who have to like learn hard lesson.
The nature of the military is a slow moving, like sort of glacier as opposed to fast change.
Yeah.
So everything needs to come down and go back up, and then like figure out, that's wrong, so it's got to go back up and be fixed and come back down. So it takes a long time, but by the time you fix it, then the next issue's around, and that's all that sort of thing. So
what would you do? They said, we need you to come back. Can you please come back?
So I think my time is up where they can legally do that. Okay. So there is a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 5 years I think it is.
There's a war on, brother. You're back.
Yeah, I mean they wouldn't. They wouldn't get me. No choppers coming to the roof of Bodriggy. You're like, sorry, I got to get the fucking. I'm off to finally North Korea.
Actually, we got a Patreon to get through, dude. You mind waiting 5 minutes? Thank you.
I mean, they'd stick me in some training role, or probably in some morale section
Dude,
now.
I'd just be shining people like you shoes if I was in the war.
See,
like, yeah, man, you need a shoe guy. I'm like, no worries, boys, looking good out there.
But it was a great time of my life. Like, I say a lot of crazy stuff about it, but it's full of some of the most amazing people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen people,
with mates, right?
great mates that would do anything for you, male, female, across the board. Across Australia, if I tour now and I need somewhere to sleep, man, straight up. And,
that's good.
And it gave me the skills I needed to kind of do comedy in a way. Like, I had a really bad time during COVID. I nearly lost all my money, like on the second lockdown.
Yep.
And when I had
like a bad deal.
No, like
Bitcoin?
I had like I was like
gambling like me.
I'd quit my job to do comedy 6 weeks before.
Yes.
Oh,
It's COVID, right?
Perfect.
And just the moving of everything like kind of wiped my savings out. And then when I decided to tour, I think it was the first time I saw you in that little 20-seater room in Adelaide.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I've got enough money to like buy these 5 festivals, regos and marketing, all that sort of stuff, but I don't have accommodation. And I was like, but what I do have is the ability to fucking sleep anywhere. And I just grabbed a 1-person tent and I just went and I toured Australia and I just slept rough as fuck. And I was just like, the whole time I was there, I was like, I've slept in a puddle. I've been awake for 3 days. I've done shit, right? Yeah. And it was like, I look back at it and I was like, the army taught me this. And then I was staying in this weird caravan park, nothing like a fucking powered site.
I remember this.
A powered site, right? And there were all of these grey nomads around and I had like a swag and then they just used to watch me get up, get into like dress clothes, leave at like lunchtime and just come back at like 11:30 and they're like, I was there for 14 days, right? And they were just watching me. And then during the day I was in the common area on a MacBook and they're like, one of them came up to me after a while and they're like, can we just ask, what are you doing?
What the fuck is happening?
Are you going to kill us?
And I said, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. And they go, oh. Okay. And I go, I'm just trying to make it work. And, you know, I'm traveling around and they go, thank God we thought you were on the run from the police.
Not far off. You're not
also, that year I had so much because I knew that was happening. I was like, this fucking rules. But I was in like, it's good. Why not? Like, you know what I mean? You fucking just camp. Who gives a shit? But then I was touring with Nick Capper at the time, and he's like, man, I'm really looking up to Jarryd. Maybe next year I'll be in the tent. And I was like, mate, we've made a show that pays for our hotel, flights, and accommodation, and you're in your brain now. You want to go stay in a tent. We got out of it. We did it. We've been doing this longer. Like now you want to go back. I was
he sent me a message.
Yeah, did he? Yeah.
He goes, is it true you've been sleeping in a tent? And I said, yeah, brother. And he goes, respect.
Yeah.
And we were in the same room that year.
Yeah.
And you say 20-seater, but it was COVID, so we were only at 60%. So it was only 12 people in the room each night. But it's okay.
And I was
sold out every night.
But I was like, if I sell out, I'm not even covering my costs, but I'm in this now and I'm like, I've made the call. And I was like, I'm not looking back, right? I'm just going to go and do this thing. And those people from the Caravan Park, after they found out I wasn't on the run in like witness protection or something, went, have you got like a flyer? And I went, yeah. And they fucking sold out one night all on themselves.
Awesome.
And they loved it. One of them follows me now and he sends me a message every now and then. He's like, remember, like, because I'll post a gig and it's going well or something. And he's like, remember you're the Caravan Park. And I'm like, yeah, brother.
I've got that story, but it was me when I was homeless over Christmas. We saw you at the Caravan Park. I was like, I was not doing well.
And
6 months ago.
But that's like...
Yeah, it was 6 months ago. I've gone down. Fuck, I'm going back.
But that whole thing in life is like... Well, I always think a lot of comedians said, you're crazy, right? And I was like, to me, it was the only option. I was like, I've found something I want to do. Like, it would be crazy not to. And I always think about like the 70-year-old me, and it's like you're having a conversation to your grandson or granddaughter, and they've been like, I was nearly a comedian, and they're like, what happened? They're like, oh, accommodation was too much. You're like, that story sucks.
That story sucks.
Like
I stayed in a tent. That's fuck yeah, granddad.
Yeah, and I know it was really weird to go through that time. I had no indication that it was going to work.
Yeah. Well,
no indication whatsoever.
When I broke up with my partner over Christmas, and I was, kind of between places, let's say, I was like, man, I'm just gonna fucking buy a Toyota Coaster, deck it out, and the thing. And I'm like, I'm on the road 6 months of the year. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll just keep traveling festival to festival. And then when I'm not, I can drive to any gig I want to. And then when I'm not on the festival circuit or doing gigs, I'm just going to go stay in Adelaide or wherever. My house goes where I go. And half of comedians were like, you fucking lost your mind. And the other half were like, that sounds sick.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it does sound sick.
So I'm the first one.
Yeah,
You're the latter. Oh, that's insane.
But then I realised how expensive Caravan Parks are just... For a weekly rate powered site is just as expensive as
I would I couldn't afford the powered site the whole time, so I'd charge my phone and laptop whilst my show was on.
Yeah.
But then I would go and find Glenelg Beach had free showers, and I was like, cool. So I had a toiletry bag, so boom, 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 boom there, swim in the morning. I was like, do you know what? I actually had a great time.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Like at the time, I was like, this sucks, but then midway through it, I was like, listening to other comedians and they're like, I've lost like $3,000 here. And I was doing the sums and I go, I think I've got enough for the next one.
Yeah.
And that's all that mattered, right? Yeah. And then from doing that, I just had, like I toured the whole of Australia. Same thing. I didn't have enough for accommodation. I was like, I've got Facebook ads or I've got accommodation. I picked Facebook ads. And then I got back from that and I was like, it paid for the tour. And then the next one I go, all right, I think we're away here. So then I just kept going and then...
That's great. I love that. You've done it smart, mate. You know what I mean? And also fucking, you know, even when we just staying shitty fucking $90 motels and hotels, you're like, whatever, I've fucking slept in a car before. I don't have to now. But sometimes you're like, I would make more money if I did do that. Stop being such a fucking princess. That's why I want to get a fucking van so I can have a little bed in the back. And if I do a 2 or 3 nighter, that's saving me $300. I think that's fucking great.
Not to like kiss your ass too much, but I look at all that stuff which was like hard, but I'm like, you're doing this with like kids.
Yeah, but
people
that's
fucking
my fault.
Yeah, it is. But people rely on you. No one relies on me if I'm in a 1-person tent.
Yeah, that no. Yeah. Well, yeah, look, it's.
Is that scary for you to make that leap?
No, I didn't. I've only known comedy with kids. I haven't. I think if I started comedy first, I don't reckon I would have had kids, which is like really so lucky it went in that order because I do really like my kids. Like they're fucking cool. So good. But I can see why heaps of comedians don't have kids. Because it's just, well, there's just no stability. Like you never know what next month's going to look like. You could have heaps booked, but we know from COVID, it could all go, like could all get cancelled and doesn't really matter. And what are you going to do? And everyone will be like, well, you should have chosen a better job. You should have stuck with teaching. You should have stuck in the army. You should have done whatever the hell you
wants to go camping for the next year.
But it's only crazy like when it's only genius after it works out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you never.
Right. Yeah,
you don't have that data yet, right?
Yeah.
And we know heaps of comedians where it hasn't worked out, and you're like, oh wow, you're still going. Wow, this is incredible. You like, I'm not obviously we're not going to say names, but even as I say that, I know faces are popping into your head. There's people who've thrown everything they've had at it, and it's just not worked. It just can't work for everyone.
Yeah, and
it's just really lucky when it does. Oh, not just lucky, but it's amazing that it has worked, and everyone has to go in different ways. Like you've had to go through, like you've started, you're good, but you're like, this isn't enough. You knew that wasn't enough.
I knew a few paths were blocked, or they just weren't for me. So I was like, I can whinge and bitch about that because I've heard fucking hundreds of people do that.
Yeah.
Or this is a good thing I got out of the army. It's like people say one door closes, another one opens. I'm like, if a door closes, you can just kick the fucking thing down. Like I was like, I'll just find another way.
Yeah.
Like I'll just find another way.
I've always respected your work ethic. I'm like, you're out there, you're working hard.
But it doesn't feel like work to me. A lot of people, everyone says that. They go, you got a work ethic. I'm like, I've just found the greatest thing in the world. Like, it just feels like play all the time.
Yeah. I guess like, compared to like awesome. Pulling dead kids out of rivers, this would feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arguable.
So you gig all over.
Yep.
What is the worst, and we ask this of every comedian we have on, what is the worst gig you have ever done?
I got a couple, but one standout. Right. I try to go, we said this off air, I try to go to every state and territory in Australia twice a year and all the regional areas. I started doing that years ago because I was like, I need to get good quicker.
Yep.
So I just needed to get the variety of everyone. I saw a few comedians just stay in a particular lane and I saw them do well there and not other places. I said, I want to be better than that. I want to get I want more gears in my act. So I started doing that. So I've seen a lot of them, and the hardest one of all of them, hands down, 2020, just before the bushfires, I went on an Outback tour, right? And the bushfires happened and it burnt down like 5 towns we were going to.
Oh, rude. I'm just about to do my jokes.
And you can't be like, so we're still getting paid. So we're just...
your deposit's not coming back, dude.
We're just bleeding cash and it's all going down. But we're like the least sympathy of all of it. But then let's say the fifth one down the line, this publican lady goes, "Oh, yeah, we're actually the hub for the firefighters, so they could use a laugh."
Great.
And we're like, a gig, like we've already
yes.
left as well, so we're just stuck in the middle.
Who's we?
We. There's a comedian called Kim. There's another comedian who we don't talk about any longer. And
it's like three of you?
Three of us, yeah.
Three of you guys. Okay, great, beautiful.
An hour, 2020. And it was gonna good. We're gonna make some money. We were like, we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And this lady's like, "Yeah, come. We've got all the firefighters in the region are here." Okay, so we rock up there. We set up fucking big town hall. You know what I mean? Like it's looking good, right?
To me, I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be great.
No one told them, and so the publican's been like, "Stop what you're doing.
Stop washing
drinking.
your face."
And they're like, I'm talking like, if it wasn't the bushfires, you're like, this audience is in blackface. Like,
Yeah, right. They're off the front line.
yeah, they're like soot. Like and nobody told them. And they've done like 22-hour shifts, and it's the first time they've sort of really stopped. So as soon as and the place is packed. I'm talking, there's hundreds of people in there, and they just went like, the audience just like 1,000-yard stared us, and I reckon I did 20, 22, sweating.
You thought it was hot out there, boys? Imagine being up here. I'm fucking dying.
Just to nothing, like to less than nothing.
Because some of them watched their own houses burn down.
Mate, they were just like, "Oh, do you know what? We'll break up this koala collecting carcass fest." Some fucking semi-professional comedians.
Boys, I know you've seen 10 dead bodies today, but you know what you would mind now? A chuckle. Thank you.
and they gave us -20 energy, and I just
Did they turn their backs on you? Did they talk?
They were in a line, like there was just,
but they're just
packed,
like,
and they were just fucking stuffed.
Yeah,
and
it was
just wasn't meant to happen. And
were you on last?
No, I was on first. I just ate it.
So
actually
do you
good,
know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
That's actually fine, because if you imagine being last and watching someone die and then someone else die. But I guess if you're on last after watching two bombs, you're like, you're going to bomb. There's no. You would have still had hope in your heart.
We bummed so hard the staff didn't speak to us when we packed up.
Oh, yeah, no, I've had one of those before.
And then
Don't look at you.
They don't look at you, and you don't want them to either.
Yeah.
And I had to walk to them and ask for the fucking envelope of money. And I was like, "We need some petrol in the car. We've lost, I don't know, $8,000 already. Like, we need some money." And I was like, "Cool, I just get like the money for the gig, just get the fuck out of Dodge." Like, I was like, "Burn this down mid-gig." Fucking hell, man.
I know.
Yeah, I reckon I might start another one, boys. Get ready for a fucking double shift. Fucking cunts.
Oh my gosh. So was that the last one of the tour?
No, there was like 12 more.
Oh God. And was that the worst one?
The next night was the best one of the tour, and there's this little place in the middle. I'm gonna say it's in between Bendigo or somewhere, and it's a town of 32 people, right? And the pub owner had died, and nobody.
Why? They burnt to death.
Nobody.
What happened?
He just died of natural causes.
Okay,
right?
fine.
No one was
But
there
but
to
no
check who
but
was-
no one wanted to buy the pub, so the whole town chipped in and bought the pub.
Oh yes.
And
I've
created
heard
like a
things
share
this.
system
That's
where you could buy
nice.
shares in the pub, right? And we went after that night. We just had the best gig ever, and it
Great.
was highs and lows. And then asked the guys about the pub, and they're like, "We buy shares in it." I said, "How much is a share of the pub?" And they go, "It ended up being exactly what I was getting paid." And I said, "Fuck it, give me a share of the pub." And
So you own a pub.
yeah, so they have an
Pub
annual
owner.
general meeting every year, and I get an email. I haven't been, but then like when I did my first ever Australian tour, I started it there.
Great.
And I said, "I want to do my tour. Can I do it at this place?" And they go, "Yeah." Population 32, 58 people rocked up. They got a bus from another town.
Holy
Hell
moly.
yeah.
And it's like, and you got to do the gig, and then you're just in the pub. Like there's not enough room. It's the size of this room we're in right now, and
that's awesome.
it just rocks. And then they're like, "Okay, cool. Now you just get hammered with us." Like that's
What? And
Wheat
you
farmers
not saying
just-
the name of the town on purpose?
called Nandali.
Nandali.
Yeah.
And the Nandali pub.
Nandali
you own a
Community
percentage
Hotel.
of it.
Yeah, right.
I'm
That's
a pub
very
owner.
Cool. Hey, that's great.
I have this thing. It's like if
not a great investment. It's in
You
a fire
never
belt,
know
but-
when your career's over.
Yeah, right.
You never know.
Yeah.
Your graph goes like this, right? And you never know if you're at the start or you're at the top, right? That data
Oh my
doesn't
God,
exist
imagine.
until
I've
the
been
end, right?
plateauing for years,
Imagine
brother.
if this is the peak.
So I was like, I look at myself sometimes. I go, what would I like
Probably
to
is
do
something,
if I could just, if it's all over tomorrow, what would I like to tick off?
Yes.
And I was like, I want to do comedy, and in doing comedy, I want to own a portion of a pub. And that
Great.
opportunity came, and I took it.
Oh my God, you've ticked all the boxes. You could die now. If you want, a
don't
fire
happy,
might
mate.
take
See
you
how we
out.
go.
Well, there's been an alarm going off during this podcast. It could be the CO2, so we could all be fucking brain dead anyway. But Jarryd, thank you very much for joining us today. Where can people find you on social media and see all your great clips?
Just put my name into it. It'll come up.
Done.
My SEO's
Jarryd
strong.
Goundry.
Yeah.
Jarryd Goundry. Yeah, you are. And then where are you off to Darwin tomorrow, did you say?
Geelong Comedy Festival this
Geelong.
weekend, then off to Darwin, then off to Brisbane, then off to Cairns, then off to Sale, then off to
Yeah.
Perth.
Perfect. Make sure you get around him on all the social media.
Yeah.
Check out his accounts. They're fucking great.
Thanks, Jarryd.
If you're not already on the Patreon, please make sure you do so and give the YouTube channel a subscribe and the Instagram a fucking like, you nerds.
Yeah.
Until next time, thank you. I've been fired from a lot of places. I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets.
Kill me.